think Trump ever threw a punch himself or took one? This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protesters outside?
The drama surrounding Robert De Niro has taken a turn so bizarre, so self-parodic, it could almost pass for satire, if it wasn't unraveling in real life. What began as a carefully staged campaign stunt, an aging icon delivering scripted barbs against Donald Trump outside a Manhattan courthouse, quickly devolved into a cinematic implosion. But this wasn't a movie. There was no director yelling, "Cut," no script rewrite to save the third act. Just Robert De Niro, mask on, fury loaded, and logic missing in action, walking directly into a cultural buzzsaw sharpened by two of the most unlikely executioners, Joe Rogan and Jesse Watters. In a performance that resembled a deleted scene from a dystopian political thriller, De Niro tried to inject Hollywood gravitas into a real-world political showdown. Standing just steps away from Trump's legal battlefield, he spoke not as a concerned citizen, but as a character trapped in a self-written drama. And what followed was less a speech than a meltdown, part monologue, part moral panic, wrapped in the tattered cloak of fame. He invoked 9/11, labeled Trump a threat worse than terrorists, and somehow still believed he was the voice of reason. But the reaction wasn't the applause he might have expected. Instead, a cultural counterstrike erupted, not from political pundits, but from two men whose styles couldn't be more different, yet whose conclusions landed with identical force.
Robert De Niro, there's something about being a star where you think your opinion's more important than anybody else's, and you can go give a...
Joe Rogan didn't pounce, he pondered. Watching De Niro attempt to transform into a political sage was, to Rogan, less infuriating and more baffling, like watching a lion suddenly try ballet. This guy who played mob bosses is now yelling into microphones like a substitute teacher who lost control of the class 20 years ago, Rogan mused. It wasn't venom, it was disbelief. A man once synonymous with steely silence and brooding authority had become the embodiment of an over-caffeinated Twitter thread. Rogan, known for cutting through noise with bemused precision, marveled at the cognitive dissonance. Here was Robert De Niro, Raging Bull, Travis Bickle, Michael from The Deer Hunter, standing in a mask outside a courthouse, ranting about democracy and trying to intimidate jurors like a union boss from a bad stage play. And worst of all, he believed he was helping. It's like watching a psychological collapse in slow motion, Rogan said, not cruelly, but with that raised eyebrow of someone trying to find logic in a fever dream. He doesn't even realize he's become a meme of himself. For Rogan, the tragedy wasn't De Niro's politics, it was that he traded legacy for a chance to trend. Then came Jesse Watters. Less philosopher, more firestarter, Watters didn't dissect, he roasted.
Press conference, and he obviously has been very vocal from 2016 that he hates Trump for whatever reason. Maybe they have some personal thing.
De Niro's screed wasn't noble, he claimed, it was narcissism. You used to be the guy playing the mob boss, Watters sneered. Now you're the guy yelling at a barista because your cappuccino came with oat milk. Where Rogan used analysis, Watters brought irony. Where Rogan lamented, Watters laughed, and the laughter hit hard. Watters zeroed in on the absurdity. De Niro, the supposed champion of working-class truth, preaching from a luxury loft about the evils of populism. A man who hasn't seen a Home Depot receipt in decades was now America's blue-collar whisperer. And that was the point. In trying to be relevant, De Niro had revealed how far he'd drifted from the America he claimed to understand. He's not angry because the world's falling apart, Rogan noted. He's angry because it stopped revolving around him. And Watters? He drove the point home with brutal flair, dude's gone from mob boss to mall cop, but louder and with jazz hands. As De Niro doubled down on his courthouse performances, arguing with invisible opponents, sermonizing to anyone still watching, the fallout became clear. Protesters jeered him. Even the liberal media winced. The Biden campaign, hoping for a rallying cry, got a cautionary tale. What was supposed to be a powerful moment of moral confrontation turned into a high-profile implosion.
He used to sell his movies on Leno and Letterman, and it was like watching a WNBA game. You just were just bored to death.
Part theater, part tragedy, mostly cringe. And yet, what makes this cultural beatdown so fascinating isn't just that De Niro got publicly dismantled. It's how effortlessly it happened. Rogan didn't yell. Watters didn't need to shout. They let the contradictions collapse under their own weight. The 80-year-old actor, once a paragon of cinematic cool, now looked like a man yelling at clouds, mistaking self-righteousness for substance. There's a strange kind of poetry in it. Rogan and Watters, polar opposites in background, tone, and media presence, united by a shared instinct, the ability to spot cultural delusion and puncture it without theatrics. Together, they framed De Niro not as a villain, but as a case study, someone so deeply embedded in the performance of political virtue that he forgot to ask whether it made any sense. De Niro's message wasn't wrong because of who he supported, it was wrong because of how he delivered it. Loud. Contradictory. Detached from reality. It wasn't leadership, it was ego dressed in activism's clothing. And as Rogan put it, the best thing for these people is to just shut the F***K up.
You've never experienced that in your life, and you have a panic attack. It doesn't mean you're an idiot, and that's also Robert De Niro.
Not because they shouldn't speak, but because when they do, they reveal just how little they actually know about the world beyond their zip codes. The bigger picture? This wasn't just about Robert De Niro. This was about an entire generation of celebrities who mistake applause for insight, scripts for beliefs, and Twitter likes for moral clarity. De Niro is just the loudest echo in a canyon of delusion. Rogan and Watters didn't destroy him with outrage. They did it with logic, irony, and the quiet confidence of two men watching a once great actor deliver the worst performance of his life. And still, De Niro never saw it coming. That's the final twist. He's still out there, delivering monologues to invisible juries.
It could get locked up like that. You're on stage in front of people with TV cameras pointed at you,
yelling into the wind as the rest of the world walks away, bemused, bewildered, and maybe a little sad. If you found this breakdown as wild and fascinating as we did, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next cultural implosion we unpack. Who do you think is the next celebrity due for a wake-up call? Is Rogan right about the Hollywood echo chamber? Or is De Niro just misunderstood? Let us know in the comments below.